My name is Ife. I would like to talk a bit about some of my experiences prepartum and postpartum. So by the time I got married and got pregnant, of course I was excited. But by the fifth month of my pregnancy, I started having severe pains. I was rushed to the hospital and it was found out that I had fibroids. So they said it was pregnancy induced fibroids. And I had to manage the pain alongside the pregnancy because, of course, nothing could be done at that point. So it was a very painful journey. Very, very. In fact, there were times the pain was crippling. I mean, it was so bad I couldn't stand up and walk. So at some point, I was just placed on bed rest, till I put to birth. And by the time I gave birth, there were also some other issues. I labored for so long. It was a private hospital. At that time, we felt private hospitals were better. And that time, doctors were on strike in public hospitals. So I used a private hospital, supposedly run by an expert. And by the time I labored for about 23 hours. Of course, at that time, the orientation we had was that cesarean was forbidden. So I was my labor was very slow. I had to be walking up and down. They told me do all forms of exercise. I was getting weaker, you know, and my mother-in-law was there with me. She was praying, encouraging me. My husband wasn't even around. He traveled, but was on his way back. So by the second day, the labor had was not really progressing. They had to put me on hot drip. And anyway, by the time I was having the baby, I was very weak. The baby was already very weak. And she came out, she did not cry. She did not cry, and you know, the doctors didn't even pay much attention to her. I was losing blood. So but I remember it was later on that she cried. I did not know the significance of that first cry. So she had asphyxia at birth, and that led us to another series of running around because she started having seizures as 3 or 4 days. Also, you know we were told that, oh, you have to do exclusive breastfeeding, and they didn't tell us that, okay, you may not lactate immediately, and pending the time you begin to lactate, you should get artificial, I mean, baby formula, baby milk. So we were waiting for breast milk to come out. The first day passed, second day passed. I was trying to nurse, nothing was coming out. My mother-in-law said, oh, in their time, before breast milk came out, they will give water and glucose. The nurse said yes, it was okay. So we were giving water and glucose. I gave it on Monday. That was so. We were discharged by Wednesday. By Thursday, my baby started jerking. Was jerking and having seizures. We didn't know what it was. And this is me that I had joined several pregnancy groups online. I had read a lot. I mean, I didn't know. With all that, this particular stuff, I had not read about it. So but I was not comfortable. At first we were looking, okay, maybe the baby is trying to adjust to a new environment and so on. By Thursday morning, I couldn't take it anymore. My mother-in-law she wanted to quickly rush down to her place to take a bath. By the time she came back, she said, I'm not comfortable with the way the baby is behaving. Let's go back to the hospital. We went back to the hospital. The doctor assessed the baby. He said he didn't know what was wrong. My baby was already turning a shade of color I couldn't understand and jerking. At that time, one of the mother and child hospitals that Fashola just built in Lagos had just been opened. This was 2012. So they referred us there. And then we rushed there. Thankfully, we met someone my mother-in-law had helped in the past, and she knew all the people in the hospital. We were able to get express entry. And when they saw my baby, they were so angry. They were like, did this baby cry at birth? I mean, what did the doctor do when the baby did not cry? What kind of hospital did you use? That doctor, his license should be. I mean, they were so angry. apparently I shouldn't have labored that long. They said for a first time mom, you shouldn't labor beyond 18 hours. They should have cut me open, suggested the CS, and cut me open and bring out the baby. I was crying, my mother-in-law was crying, she was begging them, oh, she's a first time mother, you people should not blame her. I'm the one that should take all the blame. They were like, no, how can you not feed a baby from Monday to Thursday? So they were so angry, they were like, we should take them to that hospital that they need to report the hospital, So by that time, my baby's sugar level had dropped. So she had hypoglycemia. On top of the heart asphyxia that she had hypoglycemia. Her sugar level was terribly low. In fact, I remember that every 15 minutes, they were injecting her with sugar, you know, with the sugar fluid. They kept. How she survived is a miracle because even the consultant that was on ground, I remember that three doctors surrounded her, you know. In fact, they were like, how did this girl survive? That with everything that happened, she should have died. Thankfully, my baby didn't die, you know. But she grew up, started having seizures. But thankfully, she's on treatment for that. But, this thing could have been avoided if there was adequate information. My second pregnancy, of course, now I was better armed with information. But I wanted to do if I wanted to go for some form of family planning before my second. But they were like, I just continue breastfeeding, don't do anything. Family planning could be very dangerous at times. Some of them could cause this, cause that. I had pregnancy induced fibroids again and had to be put on bed rest again. So all the harrows of that one. In fact, my labor too was very, very slow. I had to be induced 2 or 3 times, before. So after that one, I decided I wasn't having any more babies because the stress was too much and so on, you know. But uh my observations was that one, all the myths, the secrecy surrounding pregnancy is loud. The secrecy is loud. Women are not informed that these are the potential risks that you will go through. You know, I never knew of pregnancy induced fibroids until I had one. I was put on bed rest throughout, with my legs propped up. I had to stop active work. In fact, because I was an event planner, I used to do decorations. I had to stop all stressful work because it just couldn't go. I just had to lie in bed, from morning till night, and so it was. And then after the baby, I felt so depressed. In fact, I didn't know I was going, especially during my first child, I didn't know that it was postpartum depression. I would just sit down and cry and cry and cry. And I'll be like, do I have to go through all this pain and all this stress just to birth a child? How come no one told me? I remember I called one of my friends, who got married before me. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? She said, oh, they don't tell people. Oh, if they tell you, you will be too scared. But thank God for my mother-in-law who really stood in the gap for me and was my rock that time because my own mom was working, she couldn't come. So my mother-in-law was with me throughout. But she noticed I was down. She kept trying to talk me out. Well, I didn't know it was postpartum depression until later on, you know. And then the stitches, because I had tears, I had to have some episiotomy for my babies to come out because they were really big. The pain of the episiotomy in itself was another level. The healing up afterwards and so on and so forth. So my feet got bigger as well. My feet got bigger. I was using size 41, by the time I was getting married. Now I'm now using size 44, 45. So there's that. There's also the a little bit of memory loss. I easily forget things. Uh, and then there's the back pain, the lower back pain. Oh, That has been right from my first pregnancy. That back pain has been seriously serious. I don't know whether it has to do with, because I found out that each of my births had to be assisted with hot drip, and that is where the pain of the hot drip hits. When having a contraction. So I don't know whether that is what is responsible, but the back pain hasn't gone away since then. There's also the urinary incontinence that comes with episiotomy, and the what else again? I think that's all for now. That's all I can remember now. So I wish that I was well schooled. I think more women need to tell their stories, need to talk about their experiences. I've heard of, lost people who lose their voices, lose their teeth, lose hair, and all sorts of things. So that's my story. That's a brief summary of my story. I hope that I've been able to help somebody with the information that they need. Thank you.
I was very excited when I fell pregnant for my first baby. Very excited because before that pregnancy, I'd had a couple of miscarriages. So when that particular one crossed the fourth and fifth month mark, I was very happy because I felt that finally this one was going to stay. Even though I had known the bundle of issues that was going to come with the pregnancy. Well, don't get me wrong, pregnancy, childbirth, motherhood, they're all very beautiful things that every person, every woman should experience. But then I can't help but wonder if all the attending issues that comes with pregnancy and childbirth, if they're really worth the stress. I don't know how to put it, but then I was a very healthy person before I had my first child. I had no health complication of any kind. But after my first baby, I developed lots of issues. The most significant of all of them was, or rather is, the injury I sustained to my spine. So it happens that my first baby was a very big baby. He weighed 4.8 kg at birth, and I pushed him out. I had a vaginal delivery. It wasn't my fault though. I went for an ultrasound that very day, and the estimated weight was placed at 3.5 kg. So when I fell into labor, I had to push the baby out. And after then, I developed spinal issues. I've gone for a series of MRIs, CT scans, X rays, but none of them could pinpoint what exactly the issue is with my spine. All I've been told is that it has to do with some nerve issues, some issues with my nerve, and that um, it's a lifelong condition that I have to learn to live with. There's no cure for it. I just practically have to live on pain medications and physiotherapy sessions for the rest of my life.
Okay, my postpartum experience was after giving birth to my third issue, I had bleeding. I have had the first baby is a boy, the second baby is a boy, then the third one is a boy. I was just depressed because I was hoping to have a baby girl. During that time, always moody. I'm not so happy when I see that baby because I'm hoping to have a baby girl. For like 3 weeks to 1 month, there was massive increase in my size. Some of my shoes, I will not be able to wear it again. So I have so many things. I'm always moody. I'm not happy again because I was hoping to have a baby girl. Then I used to forget some things for like 5 months. When he was 5 months, 6 months, there was massive change in my character. Some of my characters now changed. I had to love that baby more, because before I don't love him. Before, as in, if you say that, if my mother said, "Let me bring your baby so that we breastfeed him," I'm always, as in, I will not be happy. I'm always angry because I wanted a baby girl. Because even I bought everything I bought then when I was pregnant was set of baby girls. Everything, the clothes, the stockings, everything, the shoes. I had to tell myself, let me accept this child, whether if he's a boy or a girl. After then, I had to give birth again to a baby boy again. But then I was very happy doing that, doing the fourth pregnancy. As in, doing that time, I was not angry. There was no depression. There was nothing. I accept everything. A lot of things changes during that time. And that time, on my fourth pregnancy, I didn't added weight like that during my third pregnancy, and everything changed. I was so happy. I'm not depressed again, and that's my postpartum stories. Thank you.